For those listening in, we're just trying to get the technology to work.
Working?
Is the camera working? That's the next thing.
Well, if we vote against the current code of conduct, we won't have to worry about that.
Depends what we decide to do today, I guess.
Did you guys put that message in motion?
Talking to Bruce about it. If you vote against it, you actually can't have a meeting. Because state government, because the upper house dissolved.
Yeah.
Disallowed, yeah.
Disallowed the other one. So if we actually did vote against it,
Okay, so the sound is on. We're just saying government officials, so we'll start with the sound.
With sound, okay then. Well, look, thanks everybody. We'll hopefully get those pictures going. In the meantime, welcome everyone to the ordinary meeting in Central Tablelands Water on 17th June 2026 here in lovely Canowindra. I'll start by, I'd like to acknowledge the Wiradjuri people who are the traditional custodians of the land. I'd also like to pay respect to their people, both past and present, and extend that respect to other Aboriginal Australians who are present or who are listening in or watching. In accordance with the Central Tablelands Water Code of Meeting Practice, this meeting is now live streamed, hopefully. The live stream will allow members of the public to view the proceedings of the council meetings. The objective of this service is to eliminate geographic and other access barriers for the community wishing to learn more about council's decision-making processes. By speaking at a council meeting, you agree to be audio and visually recorded. Please ensure that when you speak at this council meeting, you are respectful to others and always use appropriate language. I don't even know why I keep saying that, because it's always been that way. Whilst council will make every effort to ensure that live streaming service is available, it takes no responsibility for and cannot be held liable for technical issues beyond its control. Live streaming is a free public service and it is an official record of council meetings. Minutes will be made of all council meetings and published within 2 weeks after the meeting. For a copy of the recording or the minutes, please refer to council's website. Council does not accept any responsibility for any verbal comments made during council meetings which may be inaccurate, incorrect, defamatory or contrary to law, and does not warrant or represent that the material or statements made during the meeting are complete, reliable, accurate or free from error. The live stream is primarily set up to capture the proceedings of the council meeting, and members of the public attending a council meeting need to be aware they may be recorded as part of the proceedings. Okay, now item 4 is apologies and applications for leave of absence. Do I have a mover? Councillor Gostwich, seconded by Councillor Newstead. And we have, I think, one apology. Councillor Best can't be here today. So I'll put that. Everyone in favour?
Yes.
Thank you. Item 5 is confirmation of minutes from the previous meeting. Mover, Councillor Paulette and Councillor Nash. Thank you. Any comments or questions or issues with the minutes?
No.
Everyone happy? Okay, I'll put that on favour.
Aye.
Carried. Next item is matters arising from the previous meetings. Are there any matters? Okay, nothing. I might just move on. Item 7, disclosures of interests. A mover, Councillor Goswich, Councillor Newstead. Anyone have a disclosure of interest, a conflict of interest?
No.
No, I don't have anything. Okay, put that. All in favour?
Aye.
Carried. Item 8, chairperson's minute. There is no chairperson's minute. Item 9, council representation. I've listed those things that I have been I've attended there. Does anyone wish to add anything to that? Council representation. Okay. We might just move on to item 10, notices of motion. General Manager?
No notice.
There are no notices of motion. Okay, item 11, reports of staff. Item 11.1, just move down to 11.1. Page 12, no, it's page 10, I've got on page. Okay. The rescission of the 2025 Code of Meeting Practice resolution. This has come about because of the disallowance motion which occurred a couple of weeks ago. General Manager and I were in Parliament at the time when the day after it all happened, so we got to speak with the Minister at the time, who was obviously a little bit disappointed. However, we now need to resolve what we do about our Code of Meeting Practice. The recommendation there is that Council rescind Resolution 25088 for the adoption of the 2025 Code of Meeting Practice. Secondly, to resolve to revert to our 2022 Code of Meeting Practice. Thirdly, to resolve to include live streaming of Council bi-monthly meetings, which is basically what we're doing today. And fourth one there is to resolve to continue with agreed meeting dates and times set by resolution for 2026-27, although there is another item later on about changing one of those. So could I have a mover? Councillor Newstead and Councillor Pallett. Thank you. General Manager, would you like to speak to this?
It's, as per the report, really, I think it's well known in amongst the local government sector about the disallowance motion. There was the new Code of Meeting Practice that became effective January this year. And so, given the disallowance motion through Parliament, we have no other alternative than to rescind that motion to adopt the new Code of Meeting Practice, and we're proposing to revert back to the 2022 Code, and that will now allow us to continue to have meetings. And so all those provisions in the older code will revert back to, it's not huge amounts of changes. The live streaming is one of them. We'll ask for a decision of council on that one, but pretty straightforward, but complex at the same time, I think.
A lot of work and.
Thank you. Any quick questions or comments? Councillor Newstead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As I said at our council meeting last night, I'm just a bit worried about what he might come back with, because he was pretty determined, and yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. It might be worse.
Watch this space.
Yes.
Councillor Goswitch.
The only thing I would probably suggest, should we change number 3 to include live stream / audio, just in case we can't live stream? We've had problems in the past, so I'm just seeing whether, if we say live stream, does that mean we've got to stick ourselves to having video?
Yeah.
So should we include audio / visual?
Well, the audio we already do.
Yeah.
So there's the only difference here is the live stream is different from is the only thing that is different from the previous one. So that's why it's just there as live stream.
Okay. Right.
Here we go. It looks like we're.
And I think we covered in our statement about live streaming.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
endeavour to do that.
I didn't know if it just held us because we're putting resolve in to say we're going to live stream.
Oh, I see. Just live
Yeah.
stream. I see what you mean.
Yeah.
It just says to include live streaming.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
Perhaps we could resolve to include live stream or audio of council bi-monthly meetings. And that will cover what's in the context of the Code of Meeting Practice.
Okay. Would you like to make that amendment?
Yeah, I would.
Okay. Yep. Do I have a seconder for that? Councillor Newstead? Well, I'll put the amendment. All in favour?
Aye.
Amendment. And any further comments or questions about I think, well, one of the things that we will be able to revert back to is have people attend online and not as restrictive as the current code has been. So we'll go back to being able to live stream for pretty well any reason. It's not live stream, I mean, come online, attend online. I suspect that will revert back to what it currently is at some stage down the track. I suspect that might be modified. So, but it does mean now that you don't have to be sick or looking after somebody else to attend online. You can attend online if there is another reason. So, if there's no further questions or no further comments, I'll put that, all 4 of those in one go. All in favour?
Aye.
Thanks, Carrie. Thank you. 11.2, the automatic filling stations recommendation there that the council determined that the Eugara automatic filling station is not reinstated. Secondly, to endorse the General Manager to negotiate an alternative metered standpipe model at Eugara with a one-off capital allocation of $10,000 in the next financial year to fund the installation. Thirdly, acknowledge the automatic filling stations are not recovering costs and therefore are being subsidised by Council's current customers. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Newstead and Councillor Gostwich, thank you. General Manager, I think this might be something we need some discussion about.
And happy to take on questions for this because I know it's a little bit complex, but essentially we've got 7 automatic filling stations. They were funded through constituent councils through drought funding, and they were gifted to Central Tablelands Water. And so Central Tablelands Water then covered the cost to install those filling stations. We've continued to service those, and the Eugara filling station was actually damaged during the 2022 floods. It hadn't been reinstated, and sort of since in the last 12 months I've had discussions with Cabong Council about an alternate location to try and relocate it outside of the flood impact zone, which ideally was going to be up at the showground. And there's a new RFS building being constructed up there, so the thought was that we could put it alongside the RFS shed, and that would get us out of the flood zone. Through additional investigations and identification of the cost of this, it became very apparent that we are subsidising these filling stations quite heavily, and in particular the Eugara one, as in the report, was, I would say, underutilised for various reasons, and I'm not going to state what those reasons may or may not be, but the facts are that that particular station only supplied 169 kilolitres of water in 3 years, and it's come at a cost to council and therefore our customers. So after the discussions with Cabong Council, I was approached by the local member, Mr. Donato, and asked as to what our intention was with that filling station. And through that process, I discussed with the Eugara, a representative of the Eugara Show Society and the Progress Association, with the idea that we could come up with an alternate solution to the automatic filling station, that CTW would provide them with infrastructure to give them a standpipe of some nature. It'd be very much mechanical. It's a valve, you turn the valve on, water comes out, turn the valve off, water stops. We had a lot of cost associated with the automatic process with these filling stations, so it was trying to avoid that. It was trying to give the opportunity for the community groups to support their wider community, whereas we felt the CTW responsibility was really to our customer base on our networks, not those beyond that. So that was the idea and the proposal that was put to them. I still hadn't yet heard back as to how they would like to proceed and if they would like to proceed. But that was an option that was put to the community. So the recommendation really is for council not to reinstate it, to continue to advocate, I suppose, and encourage the community group to adopt that alternate model in which they can support their broader community. It won't then come at a cost to our customers per se. The show society would get a bill for the availability charge, they get a bill for the consumption, and then they would on charge that. They can determine to set the charge at whatever they see fit, and then it's quite clean. It's standard practice for us, and we don't have these additional costs going back to our customers. So that's the bit of the background there, but I'm happy to take on any questions that the councillors may have.
Through the chair, I've got one. Insurance, you can't replace it with the insurance. Was it insured?
At the time,
Yeah.
it didn't get covered by insurance. There is, you might recall that additional disaster funding that was provided for water utilities. So there's a provision through that we could potentially, but I haven't actually asked the question about relocation of that, if they would pay for the relocation. But there's a likelihood that they could potentially pay for the repairs to that. They certainly wouldn't pay for the ongoing costs.
No. And do you think that it'd be okay for the show committee to say what they want for the water and that? I don't know. It just seems a lot to, I don't know. Seems a lot, doesn't it? Pricing structure, conditions of use. Yeah. I don't know.
As long as they're covering, through you, Mr. Chair, as long as they're covering what it's costing CTW to provide the water, that'd be up to them, I suppose. If we're selling it to them for $7, if they want to charge $9, that's up to them, I guess. But it's certainly not a good thing here when it's costing $47 a kilolitre.
Yeah, but it's going to be unfair, isn't it? Like all the other towns have still got theirs.
Or we'll get rid of them too.
Well, I mean, that is a potential option, is to go to this other model. You know, if there's a local, showground committee or whatever wants to take it on, we could go to that model. I mean, we're paying for depreciation, we're paying for the fees for, the bank, that sort of money. Councillor?
Now that we are aware of the cost of these, we have to be proactive and be responsible with, sort of looking at how do we replace the others as well.
Yes, Councillor.
Through you, Chair. The question I have is probably whose liability for the water, as in contamination? Are we selling potable water? Are we selling non-potable water through that standpipe? And with our safe water drinking guidelines, how do we guarantee if it's sitting in the pipe for a month before someone uses some of it, how are we going to be covered?
Mr. Chair, great question.
Thank
you. That's a very technically focused question. Our drinking water management system is quite clear. We provide potable water. And you'll see through the rural policy, we have tried to make a distinction between potable and non-potable. But in this case, it's potable up into the metered supply. So what happens beyond the meter is outside of the control of Central Tablelands Water, but we would guarantee the water quality in that respect up into the meter. And like with any tank filling station, the automatic filling station, we provide potable water to the filling station. After that, it's actually outside of our control. So it's a bit of a grey area, because if someone provides, like a commercial operation comes and gets water from a filling station, technically they're supposed to be licensed. If someone gets 1,000 litres in the back of their pod and takes it home and uses it for potable purposes, we've got no control over what's in the pod. So there is that risk element, which we can't control, unfortunately. But what we can say is that we will provide potable water up to the meter.
Thank you. I mean, you brought up an interesting point, is that if there's water sitting in the pipe going to the standpipe, going to the automatic filling station, or to this new idea, or out to the showground, and it just sits there in the pipe for sometimes, could be days, weeks, whatever, before someone uses it, would that ever be then considered potable? It may not be.
Certainly after, if it's sitting in the standpipe, for argument's sake, and it's up to the meter, like prior to the meter, it would be still potable because that's in our reticulated areas. Yeah, potentially it could sit in there, and the chlorine is more than likely to have decayed potentially over time. I don't know, does a frog go up the pipe and lay some tadpole eggs? Potentially. That's why it's outside of our control once it gets through that meter as to how whoever's responsible for it after that.
So this says ongoing operational maintenance and administration responsibilities remain with the energy organisation, so that means the showground committee, does it?
Which, sorry, Councillor, Mr. Chair, they already have a connection. So the Showground Society already pay. Now they might have that process through the council, but there's already a process that they are familiar with.
Oh,
This is almost like saying there's a second connection for them.
right. That makes sense.
Is it a larger connection, or intended to be greater flow rate, that sort of thing?
We would provide a larger connection just so that they can have an increased flow rate, fill the tank it quicker and that type of thing. So it won't be a standard 20 mil service, it'll be we're thinking a 50 mil service at this point.
Okay. Contingency in case it doesn't work for them after a while? Is there a contingency?
There is no contingency for CTW. I guess that would be up to the community group at the time as to whether they chose to continue to provide the service or not.
Councillor Goswich.
I suppose now you're saying we have to put another connection on. We've got flow rate report saying for the section 64, will they have to pay a section 64, or will we have to cover that?
Through Mr. Chair, the intention is that CTW cover that fee within that. So we would have to make the connection if the relocation of the filling station was undertaken. So that connection essentially we're providing anyway, and we would provide that free of charge in terms of the section 64 and all the pay for the costs to install the infrastructure.
So just a follow-up question, through you, Mr. Chair. I suppose with that, do we actually need a filling station in Newgara? Is probably my question.
Well, through the chair, I think that Ugara definitely thinks so, don't they?
There's
Just looking at the use, sorry,
Yeah.
I'm looking at the use compared to the last 3 years, what little use really, and the extra cost we've got to outlay and to cover it, I suppose we're paying ourselves for the section 64. And then we haven't got a formal agreement with the association yet. And then who's going to fill it up? And I just can see this becoming a bit of a, we build it and it doesn't come.
Not me.
Yeah, that's how I'm thinking personally.
Do we, through you, Mr. Chair, do we need to defer this item until we have more, a better understanding that they're going to want to run it, or that they really need, do they really need a filling standpipe or whatever?
And insurance, whether we can get a bit of money back for that.
I don't think I myself, I don't want to see the existing or a filling station put back there.
No.
If it's going to cost us that much money. But
Can I maybe make a recommendation, Mr. Chair, that we, in terms of the recommendation
Technology's moving where we go, that's the problem.
Okay, sound is working.
Camera's down.
Let's just see.
It says,
Buffering.
Okay.
we are live again.
There we go. We're on, Andrew.
Mr. Chairman, we're back live.
Okay, thank you.
We see the minutes, recommendations, sorry.
Automatic filling stations be undertaken, be performed, be brought back to council. Review of pricing model for automatic stations.
Be undertaken and brought back to council. Now, there was something else I was thinking I was trying to put onto there as well. I don't remember what it was before we went down.
So the devil went down.
No, that's fine. Fine. Okay, so we've now got an amendment there, or we won't go through the whole amendment thing. I'll just, everyone can see there, it's acknowledged the automatic filling stations are not recovering costs and therefore are being subsidised by council's current customers in a review of not recovering costs and therefore being subsidised by council's current customers. And review of the pricing model for, oh, we've lost it again, have we?
Must be terrible.
The important thing is whether or not we're recording.
That a review.
And that a review of the, yes, and that a review.
Before review, that
a review of the pricing model for all automatic filling stations be undertaken and brought back to council. Okay, we're on to something good. Okay.
It's fine.
Are we online now?
Yes.
We're recording, that's the important thing. Okay, good. Okay, I'll start again. The third item here is, with some amendments here, acknowledge the automatic filling stations are not recovering costs and therefore are being subsidised by council's current customers. And that a review of the pricing model for all automatic filling stations be undertaken and brought back to council. Could I have a mover specifically for that?
Yeah.
Councillor Nash and Councillor Parlett. All in favour?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you. Happy?
Yep.
Good. Thanks, everyone. Yeah, we'll return to this later, I'm sure, even in today's thing when we come to the pricing, to the fees and charges. Okay, 11.3, operations and project updates. The recommendation that council note the operations and project updates report. Could I have the mover? Councillor Gostwich and Councillor Newstead. General Manager, would you like to talk to any of that?
I'd like to, Mr. Chair, through you, just to highlight a couple of those. I mean, I take it as read, but just point out a couple of things. Central Tablelands Regional Water Supply Grid. Just to acknowledge that we've had a steering committee last week, and Mr. Chair, thank you for chairing the steering committee. So the steering committee has now met and endorsed the terms of reference for both the steering committee and the project control group. And we have representatives from Cabon, Orange and CTW on each of those groups. So we've now commenced the project and we've received the deed finally late last week. So we're just reviewing that and we're off and running. The other note is the Belubula Water Security Project. just to acknowledge that there has been an extension time granted. So after many requests, fortunately the project team have acknowledged that they won't get it completed by end of June, and now they've extended that to end of August, which will give us time to assess and evaluate the information as it comes in. So that was a good result. And I'll leave the rest for your review, but if you do have some questions, happy to take them.
Any questions?
So dollars there, and some of these upgrades and everything. Just looking at further down, updates by task.
We have sound but no video. It's the Wi-Fi in the building is dropping out.
It's dropping out.
So,
Okay.
but we have sound, so we'll still proceed.
Okay.
And we'll look at the video.
Video later. Yeah. Okay. So for those people listening in who may be watching, trying to watch, we have no video for the moment, but we do have audio. So, and we'll keep, as long as we're recording, we still have a recording.
Yes.
Yeah, that's important. So we're still on item 11.3, operations and project updates. So look, there's some interesting things in there. The late rolling capacity, late rolling level, we got down to at 86%, and then we shot up pretty quickly, which is good with all that rain. So that was good to see. We're back up to something, reasonably high. One of the questions that Councillor Best mentioned to me just the other day, because he knew he was going to be away from today's meeting, was now that we've got it getting up to full capacity, whether or not there's an opportunity, given the fact that El Nino has just been declared, we're about to go into potentially a hot dry period, potentially over the next 6 to 12 months. Whether or not now is a really good opportunity with the potentially, is it overflowing the dam at the moment? Whether or not that gives us an opportunity to sort of flush systems while we've got the water overflow.
Yeah.
And I said to him that it's an operational issue, but we can pass on that.
Yeah, through Mr. Chair, we've got a program of reservoir cleaning. So we'll start with those first, and then we'll continue on with the flushing of the reticulation and trunk mains after that.
Mm-hmm.
Without wasting too much water.
Unduly, impacting on our reservoir capacity. Yeah. No other questions, comments?
I just have one through you, Mr. Chair.
Sure.
I did notice that our customer service requests are nearly double than what they were last 2 months. So because of a meter reading, maybe the meter readers were finding leaks, or?
Yes, through Mr. Chair, that's correct.
Okay.
So meter reading time generally identifies a lot of whether faulty meters or leaking meters. That's generally a lot that comes through that. So a lot of those get generated by ourselves.
Yeah. No, that's all right. I just noticed it was nearly double. Thank you.
Okay. With no more questions or comments, I'll put that. All in favour?
Aye.
That's carried.
So
Thanks.
this one, when's again, I think this one.
It's Craig and John. Who's the initial?
Councillor Goswitch, Councillor Newstead. Thank you. 11.4, low cost loans initiative grant funding. Recommendation here is that Council endorse the development of an application to the Low Cost Loans Initiative grant funding through the New South Wales Government for augmentation of Trunk Main A and improvements to the Carcool Water Treatment Plant. Secondly, that a report be brought to the August meeting for Council consideration in submitting an application. Could I have a mover?
I'll move it.
Councillor Nash, and seconder Councillor Parlett.
Yes, Mr. Chair, if I may talk to this.
You may talk to this.
New program that's come out. This is the 5th round, the first time that they've actually opened it up to county councils, and its intention is to, I guess, assist with housing development, and so we can make applications through this funding in that we can trunk main A in particular and Carkle water treatment plants, as we've identified through some of those strategic projects we've been doing. There is some constraints on trunk main A and at the Carkle water treatment plant that we can improve. The thought was that with this loan and the ability for county councils to now make application, that we could potentially bring those projects forward and get an interest rate that is then paid half by this funding arrangement. So they essentially pay 50% of the interest, the fixed interest rate. So that might have a benefit to us in a business case in bringing that forward. And one of the benefits might be that we can help with our demand, which is increasing, and we've got a discussion with a potentially large user downstream, and that we're modelling that right now, but there is a likelihood that these constraints are going to impact on our ability to service that new development. So this would underpin our future demand into the next generation, but it's about bringing those projects forward using the opportunity that this funding presents. And I guess that recommendation is we still don't know what the impacts are, but we want to look at that, and we want council's recommendation or endorsement to look into what those opportunities might present and what the implications of that are. There's a bit of work involved in trying to wrangle that. So we thought we'd best seek council's endorsement to look at that initiative and that opportunity, and it would mean bringing projects forward.
I think you have to look at this initiative. I think it's very good.
I should also just add that we make application. It doesn't mean that we'll actually be successful in that. So there's a few steps to this that
If we are successful, are we forced into continuing on? As in, say, for example, we get a funding source elsewhere from another project which will help us to, say, fix truck main A. Does that mean that we can't use that, or how restricted are we?
I would suggest that up until such time as we receive a deed and sign a deed, we can
Go whichever way we want.
potentially go whichever way
Okay.
that suits the council.
I'd have to say that ever since I came on to council, the trunk main A was always scared me. In that it's a fundamental part of our setup, and it's the main link between the dam and everything else. And it's been operating well all this time, but it's getting old. It needs a new setup. So I think as a priority, truck main A is up there.
Well, I think, through the chair, I think that, it's critical that we do something that's 7 years old. It's estimated remaining useful life of 10 years, but that's only estimated. It could be 5. So we've got to do something. So, yeah, I think have a go and see whether you can get it or not.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, I'll put that. All in favour? Aye. That's carried. Thanks, Charles. Thanks, everyone. Item 11.5, investment reports for April and May 2026. The recommendation the council note the investment report for the periods up to 30th of April 2026 and up to 31st of May 2026. I have a mover, Councillor Goswich, seconded by Councillor Newstead. Where?
So I will take the report as read. The RBA did yesterday announced they will maintain the interest rate, so there's a bit of a settling in terms of that volatility. Our investment strategy remains the same, secure the best rate we can at the time that we can. Any comments, questions?
Questions? Noting that this is actually sort of 2 months, two separate reports in a way, over 2 months. So one is additive. Any questions?
No.
No, it looks pretty good. We're in a situation where we're not borrowing money at the moment, so we're accumulating rather than paying out interest. So that's good. But I did have a question. The policy we have with our investment income, we spread that money across fairly equally across each of the unrestricted, and across the internally restricted reserves. Is that our policy? Or how do we do that?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Or is it all going, or the amount, the income that we get from the investment?
The interest?
The interest?
Yes.
Where does that go?
General revenue.
Just into general revenue, so it's...
For internal restrictions. For external restrictions, it must go to the external restrictions.
Yes.
For internal restrictions, it's just general revenue.
Right, okay. Thank you. All right, any no more questions, comments? Okay, I'll put that all in favour. Aye. Thank you. Thanks, Craig. Okay, 11.6, internal cash restrictions. The recommendation there is the council approve the internal cash restrictions transfers for the financial year ending 30th of June 2026 as detailed in the report based on estimated year-end results. Delegate authority to the General Manager and Executive Management Accountant to adjust these transfers based on actual results to ensure an unrestricted cash balance of $500,000. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Parlett, seconded by Councillor Nash. Would you like to speak to this?
Briefly, if I may, this year is very much as it has been done, and we just brought this report to formalise that as a council resolution, with the policy that comes in policy reviews. We have introduced now some reserves that are at council discretion, so we want to make this an annual report, so we formalise that discretion and actively before we go through the end of financial year. So this is, as we've always done it, everything's going into infrastructure renewal, which is appropriate. Next year we would be looking at different amounts for the drought or the IT, and we would then be presenting those next year. So this is the setup for next year.
The setup for next year, yes. And I guess my question from before, the previous item, was sort of related to this as well. Was, it's actually going, all that money is going to the infrastructure fund primarily.
Effectively, yes.
Yeah, effectively. That's our general revenue.
Yes.
Or general.
Any general surplus or deficit is balanced through the infrastructure fund.
Yeah. Okay. So are there any questions or comments? No? Okay, I'll put that. All in favour? Aye. Okay, thank you. 11.7 policy reviews. The recommendation there is the council endorse the following policies and place them on public exhibition for a period of 28 days. That's the procurement, data breach and the investment and restricted assets policies. Secondly, if no substantial submissions are received during the public exhibition period, the policies are considered to be adopted. And thirdly, the policies endorsed under this recommendation shall take precedence over previous council resolutions where applicable. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Newstead and Councillor Goswich. Thank you. Corporate Service Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So as mentioned, there are 3 policies in this review that have been looked at. The procurement was reviewed and aligned with New South Wales procurement guidelines. The data breach was reviewed and there are very minor changes to this. And the investment and restricted assets is has, includes the extension of maximum tenure of investments incorporated. So I'm going to take this report as read, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions?
There was a lot of red in the procurement policy.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
No problem. I think it's important that you see what has been changed.
No, I agree.
Oh, I agree. Absolutely, I would insist upon it actually, because it gives us a much better way of understanding what changes are there and why. So why they're there. So, no questions or comments? Okay, I'll put that. All in favour?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you. Then put out rural water supply policy. The recommendation that the council note the submission received during the exhibition period. Adopt the rural supply policy, CTW PR 004, with the amendments outlined in this report, and authorise the General Manager to make minor editorial amendments prior to publication if required. Can I have a mover? Councillor Parlett and Councillor Nash. Lynette, would you like to speak to this, or General Manager?
Back to the General Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Look, this has been, obviously we adopted the policy last year. We made a revision to that. We went back out to the community and we've received this submission, which in and of itself enabled us to, I guess, to undertake a review of the policy. It highlighted, I guess, that the definition was probably where we felt that we had lacked strength in that. So this enabled us to improve that position in that policy. You can see the response to the submission there, and again, I'm happy to take questions on that. But what the policy, the rural policy, really is trying to articulate is that there are places in our rural, if I call it the rural system, that we can't actually achieve chlorine residuals, and we really needed a position for council to be able to supply water to rural customers and understand that there is a difference in that water that we would typically just, through our drinking water management system, we make sure that our reticulated areas.
Sorry guys, I've got to go out, so do you want to just grab your lunch from the other people? Sorry.
So, yeah, the real challenge for us was how do we deal with that risk? There's a few different risks with rural connections. So the water quality was certainly one of them. We require them to discharge into a storage tank. Again, we have no control over what goes into that tank or what sort of contaminants may be in there. So we have no control over that. So with the issue around chlorine disinfection, with the issue around where it goes into their storages, we can't guarantee, it's the guarantee that we can't provide that it's always going to be potable and therefore safe for human consumption. So we wanted to draw that distinction and make it clear, and this amended draft, I think, goes to improve that position for us. The other element was the risk around contamination. Rural customers predominantly have an elevated risk to our network with the activities they are undertaking. So we wanted to make sure that we protect our network. If there's any backflow, in particular, it might be the spraying, they chuck their hose in the tank and drawing something out, and then we get a break and we get some contaminants coming back into our system. That is a huge risk to us, and we do what we can to protect that. So the rural policy goes to talk to water quality, and it talks to the risk to our network. And I take the questions from the submission. I I think we've adequately addressed those, and I think the amended policy again improves that position and makes it clearer as to what the intent is. And I'll take questions.
Any questions? No questions?
Oh,
No comments? Going once, going twice.
through your chair, I suppose the one I had, well, there's a few, but we've discussed a fair few of them. I suppose in the scope where it says, we used to use the 50 kilometre zone, and now that's an operational marker we've put in there, but it's not determinative where CTW otherwise identify applicable reticular service area. I suppose my question is, how do we judge, or how are you making a decision of what's rural and not rural if it's in a rural setting? As in if it's over 5 acres or 10 acres, is that how you're judging it as rural?
Through Mr. Chair, the 50 kilometre, within the policy, we can make a definition of what that rural is and where that delineation lies. So we've tried to articulate that there is a responsibility for CTW to provide potable water through our articulated systems in our towns and villages. When you step outside of that, that's where it can change. So you could be on a few acres, you could be on 5 or 500. But it's pretty clear when you're in a residential area, an urban area, that you're a typical residential.
No, I understand that part. That's probably more the determination.
And so we try to understand how do we make the determination where does urban and rural change? Where is that change? And so without going through every town and village and looking at every road, it's adopting an in principle idea that the typical urban village reticulated area is within the 50 kilometre hour zone. So that's a delineator to identify if you're outside of that, you'll likely be on large lot residential or in a rural zoned category, both of which usually have tanks, usually have some sort of activity that creates a higher risk in a typical residential bill. So that was a delineator, that was the reason as to why that was chosen.
So I suppose my follow-up question to that is, are we going to then change some of the consumers who could be classified at the moment as retic in the
Yes, thank you. And it's a good question. So our intention is that we need to put comms out about this. But if someone is on the outside the 50k zone doesn't have a tank at this point in time, we make it clear about the delineation and the distinction and the definition of what the water quality is at that point. We've also tried to identify in the policy about seeking additional advice from New South Wales Health, which there is publicly available information for customers who may be getting water from a tank. So there's information publicly available, so we try and encourage people to look at that. But there is, I guess with any policy, we've tried to say certainly from this point on, any new connections have to comply. Those prior to, we're making a delineation to say, here is the water quality. What they choose to do with it is their responsibility. We wouldn't necessarily go in and demand that they have to put tanks in or that they're going to be somehow impacted adversely.
Through the chair, will that be a risk though? If you don't go to the ones that have already got it, if we don't put it, the back below that?
Certainly it allows us to identify the risk, and if those people are deemed high risk, and I would say someone on the edge of town that doesn't have high livestock carrying capacity or intensive farming or some activity that's a higher risk. So we'll try and assess that, but generally speaking, we've got to have a policy position on it. And I think what we do is in that we go to the customer and say, the activity that you're undertaking is creating a higher risk than our tolerance to our network. And so we would instruct them to go and put in a tank with an air brake or put additional backflow devices in or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
This enables us to do that and call out what the quality parameters will be as well.
Yeah, fair enough.
You happy with that?
Yeah.
Are there any further questions or comments about that policy with its minor amendments? No? Okay, I'll put that. All in favour? That's carried. Thank you for that discussion. Item 11.9, unconnected land availability charge policy. The recommendation that Council 1, receive and note the report reviewing the unconnected land availability charge and policy. Secondly, to affirm this legislative basis for levying a water availability charge on eligible unconnected land under Section 552 of the Local Government Act 1993. Thirdly, to adopt the revised CTW PR 052 unconnected land availability charge policy version 1.2 as presented, maintaining the existing framework for discretionary exclusions and the 50% charging concession. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Nash, seconded by Councillor Parlett. Okay. Would you like? No, you're handing over to the General Manager. General Manager, would you like to have? You're being nominated to speak to this one.
Thank you, and through Mr. Chair. This one has created a lot of discussion, both in the community and in council. And in through those discussions and further development, again, the policy has been amended to consider those things and further investigation of what is actually, what's the Act's trying to do, what we're trying to do in terms of providing some level of fairness, I'm calling it, across our network, our customer base. It's pretty clear that the Act is there for a purpose. As we indicated last year, we haven't been applying this charge, and so with the legislation it enables us to do that. We put a policy position out there, we've adopted the charge. As we've gone out to the community, obviously that's where it's created a huge amount of, I say a huge amount, I'm sorry, that's probably overstating it. I think probably say 10% of customers have asked a question of some nature. Some just were curious about what the charge is. Others are quite distressed about it. So quite a varied response, really. What I might do is I'll ask councillors to make comment and ask questions rather than try to interpret the entirety of the policy, because it's big, and I'm anticipating that the councillors have had a chance to review the amended policy, review the report, and they've got some questions, I suspect.
Yeah, that's a good way of doing it. Let's start. Councillor Eustace.
Yeah, mine's more of a comment. The deeper we go into this, the more I don't like it. I don't think it passes the pub test for a lot of people that have got multiple blocks that'll probably never ever be built on, or they'll never ever develop them. For example, in Carcoar, and then the one with Fiona McKenna, who the infrastructure wasn't there when she built her house. and she spent thousands of dollars on tanks and everything. For me, I still look at it, and I think I've used this analogy before. It'd be like putting a bus stop out the front of my place. I'm never going to use the bus because I've got a car, but somebody says, "Oh no, you still got to pay for the bus even though you're not using it." I find it, because I've had lots of people come to me, even had a guy at a funeral the other day come and have a go at me. He said, "I know it's not the right place," and then he said he went into the office and was told, "Oh, it's legislation, we can do it." You know, that's all fine, but there's a lot of things about it. For the amount of money that we're probably going to raise, it's caused quite a few dramas. I don't know about you guys, whether you have had anybody come to you, but no, I know me and Craig have had quite a few phone calls or people running into us down the street. "Oh, why am I getting charged this?" And I don't think it's a responsibility of somebody who's got a number of blocks or have a vacant land, if somebody beyond them also has a vacant block, that they should have to pay for it at that time. I'm just trying to remember when I worked for Essential Energy, whether if somebody wanted to put power on and they had to go past somebody else's property, they didn't have to pay for it. But then later on, if they wanted to be connected, I think they had to pay a bit more. I don't know what we do. I'm not going to say I'm going to vote against the new recommendations and that, but it just doesn't sit well with me. I know it might be being a bit vague, but just when with the angst that it's caused, and maybe people are coming to us because they know us and are willing to give us a bit of a blast. So I don't want to go in and say to the girls in the office, "Oh, look, I'm really annoyed at this." But the guy the other day, anyway, he's got a shed in the industrial estate, and the other one for me too is the distance. The 225 metres. That's a long way for me. That's two football fields. It's if you. I'm interested to hear what the other.
I agree with you, that number seems pretty high, but it's the number that's in the Act.
Yeah, and I realise that, but how did they come up with that number? Is that as the crow flies, or is it taking into consideration that you may not be able to go in a straight line to get to where the water wants to be connected? But I just know around Blaney there's a lot of, and Carcoar and that there's a lot of little blocks that will never ever, in my lifetime, I don't think, I've known a few of the people and they've said, "We're never going to develop those. We like having a bit of ground," but it's a hard one, but I'm interested to hear what the other councillors have to say.
Through the chair, I'd like to see definitely a date of when this happens, when this would be applied to, and I'd like to see aggregation of blocks. I think if you're talking about some place like Carcoar, say, just John said, like people just have a bit of land, they like it, and they might have 3 or 4 blocks and they've got to pay on each one. Maybe we could just make it one charge for that or something. I don't know. It's very hard sell, isn't it? It's
because I think, if you don't mind, I think further down the track, if they did want to subdivide, or whether they're already subdivided, but put water onto them, it's still going to cost them a lot of money.
You still get the charge, you still get the money then, don't you?
Yeah, well, you've got to pay for the connection and everything, from what I can gather.
Whether that could be,
Like you're not going. If there's no meter there now, when they go to put the water onto that block,
you still get money.
They're still going to have to pay for the connection and everything, and it's quite high. What is it now to get a meter put onto your block? Wasn't it 8,000 or something?
Change out of 10.
No. Section 64. Chair. You got section 64 charges, and then you've got the cost. And some people could be right there, other people might be 220 metres away. So there's a difference in costs associated, absolutely. I I'm just wondering though, I think councillors need to accept that the legislation exists. That's number one. And what we've done through the policy that the councillors were trying to achieve is the fairness. So the policy was developed because the councillors wanted to apply that. They didn't want to apply the charge to a rural property, which seems fair. We're trying to acknowledge the legislation. We're trying to acknowledge that there's the charge that is applicable. And now we're trying to put some rules around that. So it's really up to the council as to how you want to do that. I would ask that you consider the administrative burden that any decision may make on us. Like, to go to the essential energy example, we just don't have a system in place to enable that, where if the pipe goes past your place and you want to connect later, that you contribute to the cost of that. We don't have that system in place to enable that. So it's really there, and you'll see in the elements that I've tried to articulate the concerns that have been coming from the community and the recommendations for the councillors. So I'll put that there for you to keep considering.
Councillor Belsford.
I did send through an email where I thought some amendments to those recommendations on elements from my discussions with, and I've had about 4 or 5 discussions with different people. And I sent it all to staff and also to the councillors. For element 2, I think it's like Councillor Newstead mentioned, and we'll use it, Wes and Fiona McKenna, they've sent emails to all councillors and staff. And as Councillor Newstead said, for 25 years I've lived in the place, then the main goes past. They weren't allowed to connect on it because of a council policy back in the day, where it was a private line out to a subdivision.
Sorry, which council?
Blaney.
Not this council.
No, it was the CTW. CTW had a policy to put a main out to a subdivision, and they weren't allowed to connect because it was to supply that subdivision.
They weren't
allowed to connect.
So which came first?
The house was already there. The pipeline went past.
Later.
They've already set their place up, and now we want to charge these people $100 to $200 a year for a vacant lot or unvacant lot, an unconnected lot. So in my mind, as John said, it's the horse before the cart. The house is already there. We put a main going through. Now we want to charge the people a fee that they don't need.
They've got no intention to connect to. From
Now,
what I can get.
this is where I get bogged down with that, because for one, they already had their house set up. Blaney Council told them there was no water there. There was no water there. They set their house up. The water main goes through. They still can't connect because it's a private line. Now we're connecting to it with a different, over time, must have been a lapse or something. Now we're saying they have to pay a fee, which I think is unfair.
Because it's running past. Now, probably an estimate to, the ladies told me, like, estimate going off the costs off our old charge sheets, because it doesn't actually say anymore, be 15 to 20,000 to put the water on top of what they've already done. It's if they don't want to pay the fee and put the water on. So how do we justify to these people that for the next 50 years, if they don't put the water on, they're going to pay $200, and it goes up every year with the CPI for something they're not going to use? And for what benefit? But they were told years ago they couldn't use.
Correct.
Okay. Councillor.
I think, just from my perspective, we've obviously clearly got in all our shires a number of grievance cases and issues where we're looking at it and we're seeing this isn't fair. What I'm looking at is where we've got here, we've got two clear pathways, the customer review pathway and the appeal pathway. I think if we can strengthen that area where those people can appeal or ask for, you know, to be not considered, you know, so that they have consideration given because of their circumstances. And that goes to our general manager, because we've got to look at the cost of things and the time it's all going to take. We also need to implement this policy. This is, I think, but there are going to be clear cases where they should be exempt, given their circumstances. So I think in that review part, if they're allowed to appeal and be reviewed under that and given fair consideration, because I think, as you've expressed, that people have done and built, given certain requirements and restrictions, and then this has happened. And I know I've had a couple of people approach me, and you kind of look at one of them, there's 2 blocks, but he didn't know he had 2 blocks. He's built in the middle of the block. You can't subdivide that block, it's very clear. So, you know, I've suggested they write and put forward their case. And I think that's probably, you know, because it's probably not even going to be 10% of people, or, do you know what I mean, that we're looking at, and we need to get the policy in place for the rest of the, you know, to cover everything else.
It's similar to my second development 3 in option B with the unconnected vacant lots, similar to what you're saying, Jan, Councillor Pollett. It's some of these people, they are old gazetted blocks. Carcourt's a perfect example. It was done in the 1920s, 1930s. These people have built a house or they've bought a house. Now they have 8 blocks associated with that. It wasn't there. They didn't subdivide it. The main's been there for 50 years. And all of a sudden we want to again charge them. They've got 1 metre on. So that's why I suggested maybe we have if they've already got a connection, we charge them for 2 extra, but not the whole 8 or 7 or 6. So we still get something out of them. And maybe they might, hopefully for our own councils and for our own water, they might subdivide 1 or 2 to give us some more consumers, and it might encourage them to do that. But at the moment, if we're just charging them 8 for what? So one lady I spoke to, like if you take 8 by, say, what is it, $150, $200, there's $1,600 a year she has to find on top of her current water bill. And it's similar to what Councillor Pollett said. This lady's house covers over 2. She got orchard on the rest of it. She's no intent. She bought it for the house, not the blocks. So again, we're in this situation. I think I've said it before. I've tried to come up with an idea where we're still getting some availability charges out of them, but not the whole lot for the 8 or 7 or 6.
And where do we draw the line, and how do we divide up that land? It becomes a bit of an.
And one of the people I actually spoke to, they went and actually spoke to a surveyor to say, if I want to then, you know, combine my gazetted blocks into one, that'd be 8, 10 grand. The time you go into resurvey it, reconsolidate it, go to Land's office. Then if they want to subdivide it, they're going to go back the opposite way and then spend the money again to then re-subdivide it. So I know it's a choice for them, but we also got constituents we've got to look after, as well as we look after Central Table and water. And we've got to look after the future. We can't keep charging people for something they're not going to ever do. And then what happens if they don't pay? Interest. Then all of a sudden we have to probably legally try and keep these people up and say, okay, you can have that block. Then what do we do with it?
For me too, we talk a lot about user pays. Well, if you don't have water there, you're not a user, but you're still got to pay. When the water's not connected, I understand if there's a meter on somebody's block that's vacant, and they might not even have a tap, because I actually had a vacant block of land in Blaney a lot of years ago, and there was a meter there, but there was no tap. The meter was on there, so I had to pay the fee each year, whatever it was. I think the full amount, even though I wasn't using any water. So for me, the user pay system, which I totally agree with, is like talking about the water refilling place in Ugara. But to me, they're not using the water, but they're getting charged for it.
Well, in town, it's possibly a little bit different to out of town.
We have an access fee, which is twice what we're charging, what we're talking about here. An access fee exists across the board, across all civil utilities. There's always an access fee. There's a reason for an access fee. An access fee is to say there is an opportunity there to access that resource. It's a resource that is provided to your location by the utility, and it costs money to do that, and that cost is shared across all of the consumers, as in your user pays people are actually using, and also the people who have the opportunity to use. So the access fee is all about that. This particular access fee is the same, and that's why it's in legislation. It's quite specific that's the purpose of it, is to try and equitably share the opportunity across everyone who has that opportunity. So it actually ultimately impacts on the intrinsic value of the land that the pipeline might go past. I know that.
But then, sorry, Chair, to cut you off, but we could probably then say the opposite. If we're going to charge an extra 400 people this fee, and let's use that figure for a thing, are we going to discount the people that are already paying that access fee? Because they're already paying for it? No, we're not. So to me,
ultimately, it would be absorbed in.
So it's not it's based on access fee. It's availability.
Yeah.
So they're paid to have that meter on, whether you use the water or not. You're paying a fee for someone to come and read that meter. That's what the availability charge is, to have it at your door.
And to talk about an access fee, which you see, or
which
an
is
availability fee, which say, again, I'm using the power. A power line can run past your property or your vacant block of land, but you don't pay an access fee until you've got the use of that power. You don't pay because it runs past your
Same
house.
as us. We pay availability because availability to have water going into our house.
Yeah.
But that's
It's not access fee, it's availability charge.
I hear you. That's not how the Act is written. That's not the.
But we don't have to follow the Act.
Well,
It's there. We can make modifications to the legislation. And to hide behind it and say, oh, it's in the legislation, yeah, but we already decided we're going to make some adjustments as it is my idea. We have changed bits and pieces. We're charging 50%. We don't have, like, the legislation doesn't say that. We've made that decision. So we can make a decision that if someone's had the water on for the last 20 years and all of a sudden they should be covered, not be covered.
So the decisions that we're making now are the things we have to consider are what is equitable, not just for the people who are now being affected by this charge, but the whole customer base. That's the first thing. So what is equitable? And also what is practically able to be administered by the staff? Because as Charlie has said, if we put a whole series of little caveats in our policy, it becomes a lot more difficult to administer. You'd agree with that?
Absolutely, Mr. Chair. And if I'm able to make a comments, because this is I appreciate this is a contentious issue. We're looking to charge people that haven't been charged for the last 30 odd years. And if we'd done it 30 odd years ago, we wouldn't be in this position. But here we are, we're here. Councillor Goswich, where I struggle is some of the comments are mights. So whereas we as staff have to administer the policy, to do it on what might occur that's subjective. Someone said, you made a comment, it costs $15,000. That's someone's assumption. That hasn't been tested. Or how do you determine that? We've spoken about the automatic filling stations, how they're being cross-subsidised. the availability or the access that you might refer to goes to the point to say that there is a possibility that a lot can connect to that water. The legislation identifies that. That's the purpose. That it's trying to call that out. That yes, you may not have connected. You might choose never to connect. But there is infrastructure in the ground that is currently being covered by customers who are currently using it, and not by those who have the potential to use it. And so I guess I'll go back to the point, the legislation's there and it's up to councillors to determine how they want to apply it. You can't make it any worse than the legislation, but you can make it better for the customers, and I think that's what we're trying to achieve. But I can't accept that we're going to have to try and implement something that will be subjective, and I have to then start to make a call on whether the pipe went past the place at the date they were building or not, or it came through 5 years later, but does that mean that they haven't received a benefit from that? Well, that's what I'm saying, from an administrative purpose, I can't have myself or our staff trying to make a subjective opinion on something that might. And so that's why I think councillors need to thrash this out a bit to say what is reasonably applicable and that we can actually implement.
I don't know any other utility, like even gas, like natural gas that runs down our street. Like we've got natural gas on at our place. I'm pretty sure that our next door neighbours don't. I'm pretty sure they're not paying an access fee or an availability fee to have that infrastructure under the ground run past their house.
It's irrelevant.
I know, but this is how the general public look at it. Why are we paying for something we're not using? We don't pay for electricity or gas that we don't use. It's a hard one, and I understand it's all in the legislation, but for me, it doesn't pass the pub test, and that's what people.
I suppose in my mind also, I understand what you're saying, General Manager. I think it's we've said in the past, if they can prove that it wasn't available or wasn't, they should be exempt. But we're saying to some consumers that no, we're still going to charge you. So what I can't get through my head is that if they already set themselves up, I've got no drama if it's a one block in the middle of town where the water's there's fire protection, whatever, connect. It's the ones that have already set up and the main wasn't there. So what I'm worried about in the future, if we put a main to a new subdivision, say in Canowindra, and it goes through past 3 existing houses who don't have water, are we going to start charging those houses because they could connect, even though they're already set up with tanks? And
it's actually what's happened in the relatively new reticulated water supply that's gone out to Cumnock and Yeovil from Cabon. Same issue occurred. A number of people in town where the new water line went past and they've elected not to connect, but they're still being charged the access fee.
Okay, I have a trouble if someone's already set themselves up and then retrospectively we put a main in and they've already spent the money on doing it. If we're not going to allow amalgamation or augmentation, I can't remember the wording, aggregation, which we could do for sewer in all our councils as it is, or our rates notices for rural properties, I don't think it's fair for someone to pay for 8 blocks that, even if they might or might not, all of a sudden, if they've had the water on for 50 years, they've been paying something. We're not talking about vacant lots that haven't been paying something. These people have had a meter on for at least 20 or 30 years for one of their blocks. So now we've got to say to them, you have to pay potentially for blocks that they're potential blocks, even though they treat them. Or we have to let them have some other clause to do it.
What would be the way in which it would aggregate, say in this instance of 8?
Well, they do it now with council now.
But that's the different. With the aggregation for rating purposes, is just for practicality. The actual valuation of the land is done separately.
They're not getting different valuations for out there.
No,
They can't
but
call-
the VG provides a valuation for the totality.
Correct.
And then there is one, but the actual valuation would be done on a lot by lot basis.
No, it's actually done as a whole out there because because it's not actually seen as technically it's gazetted, but it's not. This is the
Well,
issue.
then
This is what I'm saying.
it isn't or it isn't.
No, what I mean, no, but what I'm saying, they're getting one assessment. They're getting one assessment to say this is what your place is worth. So this is what I'm saying. So council, we aggregate. What I'm saying is why can't, so this one person, I have no issue with if this is all in one block. It's different if they've got a block over here and a block there, or they've subdivided in the middle.
Yeah.
And sold one block off, but we're talking one whole piece of land per se.
Yeah.
Can I, through Mr Chair, just to confirm that that's sort of identified there in element 5 about the aggregation, and you're right. So if someone has 8 lots under the value of general, those 8 lots can be valued as one lot.
Yeah.
But they're aggregated. The value of each lot is aggregated as one value. And therefore the rates that are applied to the value, so you're still getting that ad valorem applied to the entirety of the 8 lots.
Yeah.
So we don't have the ability to do that within our charging structure. We have the availability and consumption. We don't have an ad valorem where we can apply a factor to each lot, if that makes sense. So there is I guess a fundamental difference to the framework of how those rating charges are applied.
God, that's where I sort of understand it, but these people already have one connection already functioning on their property, and now we're saying potentially you've got 7, 8, 6. We're going to charge you for each of those potential subdivisions in the future.
No, it is subdivided.
Yeah, correct, but it's not built
They
on,
might
it's
be
not
separate.
fenced, it's not. I know, I can't.
It's a difficult one. There's no doubt about it.
Well, I think that Craig's saying is right. Like they've already got a water meter on. They're already paying that. And if they do sell those blocks off and someone connects the water, council will still get money. They'll still get a fair whack of money for the connection. I know it's not cheap. I'm with Craig on that one.
Mr Chair, just to confirm that if one of those lots were sold 5-10 years down the track, they make an application to connect and we do that connection. They pay Section 64 charges and they pay the infrastructure costs to make that connection. So that's absolutely what happens now and what will happen into the future. But that lot hasn't contributed to that infrastructure for them to connect.
But there's already someone living there that is contributing.
But it's the lot. It goes by the lot.
It's only a block in the ground. Like.
Well, actually every other customer is contributing to those other 6 lots and that infrastructure as well.
Can I ask, what do other water utilities do?
Typically, we have complicated it, shall I say, Mr Chair, because we're trying to be fair. So to do that, we have to have a policy to say, well, it's not. Yes, the legislation is there, but we're going to treat it this way and try and apply some fairness. Other utilities, they literally have a line in the revenue policy says that Section 552 applies, boom, and that's it. So I've spoken to other utilities and they said, what are you doing in policy? It's just legislated, that's what it is. So we're unique in that. We're trying to apply fairness, and that's unfortunately opening up this whole discussion and the complication.
And I think the customers are sort of opening up the discussion, or people are. Yeah.
Councillor Pillay?
I think we have, and I'm new on this board, but you've always had a very good reputation as being fair and good with your community and shires. And I think we're trying to act in good faith, and I'm seeing clearly two things where one, where we have, it could be done under that review, as I said earlier, where we can put in there clear outlines of what fits as in exemption or consideration. I'm just hearing one is the property owner demonstrates they put their own water infrastructure in place prior to a water line being put in place, or better wording, you guys can word it better. And the other circumstance is where property owners clearly cannot subdivide their land. So if we at least have some parameters to guide our general manager or our staff with decision making, because otherwise it's going to be a very hard process if they keep getting these appeals, and it's going to be time consuming. So I think because we are hearing from the community what their grievances are, if we can put in place some of those areas that we are feeling, yes, these are the determining factors that we will consider as, things where you can be considered that you will not be charged this fee. That's where I said we have to maybe look at that review area, because, we can talk on and on and people are going to be sending in grievances, but how do we deal with those grievances? We've got to put some boundaries there or do something.
And through Mr. Chair, I guess what we sort of, alluding to is some additional, within the policy, trying to create additional discretionary exemptions. So we'll take feedback from councillors. We can try to articulate that through the policy, if that's the decision of the council. It might be too that because of the unknown factor, will that person that's got 8 lots sell one of them, and then that lot is going to connect? You could also look to, again, how do we administer it? But if that lot decides to, or someone decides to sell that lot and then they decide to connect, that would not work very well. I was just trying to think, should they contribute to the...
I think the person that's bought the block and wants the water on should be the one that's paying for it.
Yeah.
But should they pay for the fee that hasn't been paid, contributing towards the infrastructure and the principle that infrastructure has provided benefit to the lot, whether it's built on or not at the time?
Like if it's 225 metres away, I don't think that's it's...
We have a main extension, they're going to pay 100, whatever, to put the main extension on. Because that's why I had to think originally when we talked about this. That I know it was in this legislation, the 225 was unrealistic in our area because it was not connecting somewhere else. We have mains that run, and if we ever do a main extension or whatever for these other blocks, with one of these people who have talked to me, you would have to do a main extension to put on one of these blocks.
Yes.
So there's extra cost.
And I might be looking at this wrong, that what you're saying is that everybody should be paying. Well, when somebody wants to get that main put on 225 metres, is everybody else going to contribute to that as well,
Currently they are.
No, the subdivision pays.
No,
Some person put the subdivision on
Yeah,
pays.
that's right.
A single connection though of infrastructure that's there.
But usually it's been, they have to put a main extension on and then they have to pay for that.
And if the subdivisions are complete...
No, even other blocks, like I know there's other ones that have had to pay for different stuff over time. I just think there's got to be a way that, I don't know, I'm all for getting more people connected. I just don't think this is, I'm all right in the middle of the towns, it's the villages where they're really just lifestyle blocks, even though they've been gazetted 50, 60, 70, 80 years ago. Stupidly in a way when you think about it now, but it's different to me than if it's in a town of, say, Canowindra, Grenfell or Blaney, where if the main's running past, that person hasn't got water on, infill, charge them, because eventually they will put it on. It's the ones where they've got the blocks that are lifestyle blocks. They see them as a lifestyle block, and all of a sudden they're just, we've decided and told them, well, here you go, you've got 6 blocks we're going to charge you for.
And the other quick question I've got too, because I've had a guy say to me, I'm not going to pay it. He said, what are they going to do? They can't cut me water off. I don't have water there. He said, and it doesn't run outside my vacant block. He said, it's probably a couple of streets away. And I said to him, well, I don't know. I said, then they'll chase you for it. And then I thought, well, for chasing for it, probably going to cost more to recoup the money than what it's worth. You know, I don't know how much it costs to get a debt collector in or anything like that, but it's just I wish I wasn't on CTW at the moment. No, I did pay.
Shouldn't have put your hand up.
Chair, just following up on what you've just commented on, you've identified a few key towns where infill is more likely. Is that a fair comment?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, without
So
a doubt.
the smaller villages such as Carcoar, Cargo, etc. Do you want to, like, as a discretionary exemption, we can call out that it won't apply to this village, this village, this village. That could be a thing. I guess we're
Horrified by that idea, but anyway.
Yeah, I think they're all, but I think they're all different. But I think they're all different. They're all different to different way it is. Like you look at it, and okay, take Condiala. I'll use Condiala for an example. I'll use Condiala. Sorry, Jen, I'll steal your thunder.
That's fine.
And I don't know what the current figure is. Condiala, we put a water main out there, did the whole town. How many people have disconnected from Condiala since they put the water mains on? Now we're going to go back and try and charge them for that money. I think we've chased money in Condiala for years as a council. What's going to happen now? We're going to start charging those people again who didn't pay before. What do we do?
charge them.
Yeah, I was
As
back
an
in
option?
yeah, well, just sort of saying, like, I mean, it's one of
Maybe
those.
the bigger towns and the towns that are growing.
Well, I think you can have that.
But if the charge is there and it's unpaid and there's an interest put on it, and ultimately if they sell the block, all of the previous charges go into the cost of that transfer of land. Someone has to pay for it at that point. So yeah, they can not pay the charge. An interest amount is put on top of that. If they sell the land, that has to be paid at that point. It's part of the conveyancing component, part of conveyancing. If there's any charges on that block, they have to be resolved before the transfer of land happens.
Yeah, I don't know.
I saw something in Lithgow, I was looking at this, and then they pulled a town out that they didn't charge. They charged less money for I don't think it was water, I think it was something else. Anyway, I just thought maybe that would work, where this, like Carcoar's not a growing community, don't think?
I don't really know. 2 new houses last year.
Yeah. I don't know. Like Manildra, Molong, I think Cadell's fairly well grown, like, but the little tiny places, maybe leave them out.
I just think it's a sunset. Well, I want to put it in a thing. Do we need a sunset clause to say if it was done up? I know Goldfields have a sunset clause. Why can't we have a sunset clause for those blocks? If it was subdivided since 2000, okay, yes, get charged. If it was before 2000, again, it's
Try to
like,
address that in
Yeah, I
the
saw that.
report,
Yeah.
and so you can derive your perspective from that. But this sunset clause creates some challenges, and remembering too that subdivisions are dealt with completely differently today. If a subdivision was done even in a village where there's, say, a 4,000 square metre lot and you're allowed to do a 2,000 square metre lot, you can subdivide that. In the conditions of the consent for the subdivision, it usually incorporates that each lot has to be connected. So any future subdivisions are already addressed. So it's really going backwards, and we're not saying that Carcoar was gazetted in 1850.
it was crazy.
Made all these lots because they figured at some point in time this is going to be filled out in this grand village, whatever. But so that's not necessarily subdivision. Like if you applied the 2000, from 2000 onwards, you've got lots that were gazetted as lots. So do you not
do you apply it to those or do you not?
I don't know, this is
I'm
the,
confused.
so am I, this is the problem we have with
See,
this.
for me too, like in Blaney, for example, in Blaney LGA, you can subdivide down to 450 metres. Now, there's a lot of blocks of land, even our place, it's 1,200 square metres. We could subdivide that. How are you going to know that though? Like,
Because it's not gazetted.
Yeah, it's not,
Currently it's one lot.
It's currently one lot, that's the point.
So we
There's
would
the
charge
sun-
you
the
on the
sun-
basis that you could.
yes.
If we go down the route of the sunset clause, I'm not wedded to it, but if we did that, why pick year 2000? Why not pick the year that the legislation came into effect, which would be 1993?
Okay, do that. No drama.
What impact would that have?
I think, Mr Chairman, someone has to determine what a subdivision is. Because I'm talking about lots that weren't subdivided, they were just there, they were created.
And so they've got
They're already gazetted.
they're already gazetted as a lot. They've got a number, lot number, whatever it is, and it's in the system as being a lot. And if it's in a zone that is able to be developed, under the rules of that particular constituent council, and it is a separate parcel that can be sold, can be transferred in a land transfer, and it is of a sufficient size and zoning to be able to be built upon, and therefore
But built upon's another problem. Just because it's 2000 and it's gazetted doesn't mean you can build on that.
I think the administrative burden too, Mr Chairman, would be, like we would have to try to go through all the gazetted.
Yeah.
I just could.
Oh, God.
Sorry. So short of knowing what the idea of the subdivision, I think every parcel that exists on the title, New South Wales Planning Title Register, it's a parcel. To try and work out what was developed before 1993 or after 1993 or after 2000, just.
Okay, good. You answered the question. Okay. Okay, to move this along, what I think we might do is quickly go through each of the elements that you've identified, and we can sort of get some agreement on each of the options for each of those, if that's all right. Element one is the legislative basis for the charge. So really, the recommendation there is that we do acknowledge that there is a legislated basis for the charge. It's actually what every other water utility does. All we're doing is coming into line with the legislation, and this should have happened 33 years ago when the Act came into being. So is everyone happy with that? The recommendation there, the council note the legislative basis and that's legally sound and defensible, and affirm the ongoing application of the availability charge on unconnected land. Yeah, we've already agreed. Well, that's what we've already agreed to anyway. Element two, we've got two suggestions there, two options. One recommended, which is just to retain the current suite of exemptions as outlined in our current policy, or the policy as presented. To maintain network equity and ensure the charging framework remains robust, fair and legally consistent. The option B is to expand exemptions to include properties with registered alternative water sources, acknowledging this will reduce forecasted revenue and increase the financial burden on connected customers. Okay, so there's an equity issue here. Well, what's a registered alternative water source?
I'd like to propose what I put up as an amendment to that option B. What I sent through.
You sent through.
I'll write it in.
Element two, option B is that if the landholder can prove that they haven't been able to connect to the reticulation system in the past due to CTW policies and or no infrastructure in place and have established alternative water supply systems may be exempt.
Okay, well, pop it up there.
So that is. So we're going to put an amendment there to actually adopt each
Well,
one.
I'd like to put an amendment up for it.
Yeah.
The amendment's been proposed, so we're going to put the amendment up.
Yep.
Can I just copy and paste from the email? Might be quick.
That's why I sent it through.
Might be quick if we can.
They want to see what they're voting on.
Yeah, we need to see. We do need to see exactly what we're voting on. If it goes to the vote, we still haven't got a second yet, but we'll wait and see. Yeah. So in this instance, it is, the examples would be when someone has been has a rural, considered a rural connection, and on rural land, which has subsequently been, taken over by nearby village infrastructure, and therefore our reticulation system is sort of...
That's one of them, or like the ladies who emailed everyone.
Yeah.
Similar situation.
Yeah, that's a
It was
situation.
already set up.
Yeah.
Main goes past.
Just need to change infrastructure.
Yeah, I just think that's pretty harsh charging them when it wasn't there. They set themselves up, come to pass.
Just
The one thing to consider, of course, is that by having infrastructure going past intrinsically increases the value of that land.
Not if they've already got it set up.
No.
They're not going to subdivide it.
you see.
Or put water on, they're not going to connect when they've got the...
If they want to sell in the future, someone else might buy it, they might put water on. But then they'll just go, no, I've already got the water there. It's catch-22.
I think that's fair. I'll second it.
Okay, so we have here an amendment, potential amendment. Here is it. In element 2, if the landholder can prove that they haven't been able to connect to there's two V's there, to the reticulation system in the past due to CTW policies or no infrastructure in place and have established alternative water supply systems, they be exempted.
Should you have ED on the end or just exempt? It's just a be exempt, yeah.
Exempt from the charge. Yeah, maybe exempt.
So that,
Yes, please.
The policy, CTW policies, is quite restrictive. A policy is something that comes to council, that gets adopted by council, that goes on exhibition.
Mm-hmm.
That's not necessarily a decision of council staff to say that we can't connect you. This is a policy, this would be Carragable council decided not to supply water to Carragable.
Yeah.
But that's the level, that's the threshold currently drafted, as in my interpretation. Whereas I think you're getting out, we've said to somebody, we can't connect you because the reservoir's too high, or like, I think it's more an operational decision rather than a council policy.
and Mr. Chairman,
I don't think, and I think that's what you're trying to achieve is that the staff or some level of staff has said we're unable to connect you.
We need a procedure rather than to a council resolution policy. Yeah. The procedure is the operational guideline on how the staff actually administer the policy.
But what I think creates, so a person applied to us, they said we would like a mains extension, and we simply wrote back and said we can't give you one.
Yes.
That's not a council policy.
You're right, that is actually operational. You're right, it could be related to something quite specific on that. Yeah, there is an inability to.
Yeah, so the person providing the quotes at the time said we're unable to connect you.
So where does this go then? Into
I'm not sure it's council, I'm not sure it's being driven by council policy.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Have been able to connect the reticulation system in the past due to
Procedures instead of policies.
So on page, what is it, 134,
It's got volumes back on.
5 or 6. Yeah.
So do we need a seconder for that one?
I've just.
And I also just asked for a review of the no infrastructure in place wording, it's a bit clunky. Which infrastructure?
What about the charging them for? The main.
The
Water
main.
main.
Water infrastructure.
Or water main. You want water main.
Quarter.
It is actually water main because it says we've got to be 225 metres. What they say in the, what's the actual wording in the?
But I can see where Claire's coming from. Infrastructure,
It says-
if someone looks at that, they could say, oh, is that a shed?
It actually says water, it says water pipe in the,
So it should be water.
which I think is
infrastructure.
horrible.
Yeah, I would put water
Water
infrastructure.
infrastructure, so we'll just add a water, so decision or no water infrastructure?
Oh, no, sounds a bit.
Yeah.
And we should say was in place.
No water infrastructure,
No water infrastructure was in place, it's a historical.
Oh, yeah, it was.
Yeah.
That,
That also,
it could be
They're talking about
easy.
the past.
Yeah.
that also stops the ones, like we're saying, infill, where they've got a block there and the main's been there for 60 years.
Landholder singular.
No, because
Oh,
years they actually done it.
We're back now to landholder singular.
So, processes in the past due to a.
Of course.
I don't know, that's a vote for
I think it says a landholder.
Elected by the people.
You could.
They're trying to do it, full fair thing too.
And the landholder has established.
Yeah, I know, that's what we are trying, like, we're not just sitting up there saying, oh no, everyone is.
Landholder has
I
established.
agree.
Yeah. Landholder's one.
And also make it easy for you guys, like that's an easy one, you get clear or cut, and if not, bring it back to us, being.
We'll say yes or no.
Landholder.
You wrote down some words for that.
Yeah,
It'll come later. We'll put it in.
I've got some competent staff who take detailed notes for me,
Yeah, okay.
Mr Chair.
All
I
right,
would
so,
just also add landholder to make sure we're clear on who it is, has now established alternative water sources.
okay, all right.
Yeah.
What I might do is we'll move on to, we'll just, if we're going to make any more amendments, we'll go through each of the elements and then we'll have a collection of amendments, is that okay? Because we've got to take all of those back up to the initial recommendation and amend those 1, 2 and 3 up the
And
top.
cut out the A's, B's and whatever else too.
Sorry?
And cut out the A's and B's.
They're not in the policy. They're just
Are they?
in the-
No, okay, no. So we'll have to amend,
So we'll just leave-
when we go through all the potential amendments, okay? We'll go back up to the top and we'll amend the 1, 2 and 3 there to incorporate these amendments if we agree to these amendments. Got that? That's the procedure we're going through. Okay, element 3, setting a retrospective sunset date for subdivisions. The recommendation there was do not implement a retrospective sunset date during all vacant land deriving identical geographical benefits from the network contributes equally. Equally, the option B was amend the policy to insert a clause exempting all vacant lots registered prior to a specific date, acknowledging the potential risk of perceived inequity between neighbours. People's views on that. We've had a bit of a discussion about sunset dates. I don't think I think option A is probably.
I did have an amendment for that one, but I think I'm probably going to talk about the aggregation in element 5 more than now the other one to make it easier.
Right, okay, so the option A is what we'll go with. So option A for element 3. Element 4, determination assessment of affected lots. The recommendation is that council affirm that the identification and assessment of eligible lots remain an operational function executed by technical staff backed by the documented review process escalated to the general manager. Is it here that we want to put in words around or do we want to have, I was just thinking about this process of elevating concerns through to the council.
Mr Chair, we can make that amendment in the policy with in the policy under the
Customary
principles there on page.
Page 134, 5 of 6, you've got customary field pathway. Should a customer request an appeal of the staff's review decision, escalation of the review will be delegated to the general manager for a final decision on the appeal. I think we need to put in there something that says the general manager can escalate the decision to council, or words to that effect.
Okay.
So it's simple, but it's there, and it protects the general manager, and it can be put over.
So that's actually something that sits in behind this element 4, really. So it relates specifically to that. So do we have some wording around that? So under element 4?
So my recommendation, Mr Chair, is that in the policy we say the customer appeal pathway, should a customer request an appeal of the staff's review decision, where it says escalation of the review will be delegated to the general manager, we'll simply just say escalation, or the review will be undertaken through a report to the council for decision.
So
Determination, is it?
No, with Linda.
No, sorry, Mr Chair, it still needs to go to general manager, so staff member can make a determination. The staff member can, someone can appeal a staff's decision, but then that needs to go, so if Claire makes a decision and they're not happy with it, they need to be able to go to you. It may be as simple as yes, no. If it's a no, then it needs to escalate to the general manager. If you're unable to make a determination that they're happy with, then that can go to the council. So I guess it's similar to a GIPA in that, they can appeal, they can make an application, and they can appeal that, general manager can sort it. If general manager's not happy, it can go to council or it can go elsewhere. So
Just need an R in contributes to TR, isn't it?
or, yeah.
Contributes, yes.
Oh, it's crossword.
Yeah, well, yes.
I didn't have to do it.
Escalation of the review will be delegated to the general manager for a decision on the appeal. If necessary, an appeal can be
Determination, isn't it?
can be
Escalated to the council. Escalated to council. So we can get that. Can we get that wording up there?
So after.
So we're all happy.
Okay. So should a customer
Determinate things more than.
Mm-hmm.
I know I've got determination, we better word, but it won't a minute.
Escalation to decision, for a decision.
request an appeal of
Yeah,
the
like
staff's
escalation.
review decision. An escalation. Escalation of the review will be delegated to the general manager for a decision on the appeal. Full stop on the appeal. If necessary, is full stop. Appeal, full stop, if necessary. An appeal can be escalated.
Oh yeah, poor bugger.
There's quite a few more things.
Double escalated. An appeal can be escalated to the council. Can be escalated to the council.
He's always hungry.
No, pretty good.
A-L-A-T-E-D. Yeah. How does that look?
For determination?
So is the council for determination, yeah.
For determination.
Yeah, yeah. Or for
I've
decision.
got to get it in.
Yeah, it's good, it's good, it's good. Escalation is too open-ended, it's got to have an end point, it's got to be. And last but not least, under element 5, which is the one about amalgamation, what we do there.
I'd like to see option B personally, because we need to have some sort of aggregation from something. We're not going to have a sunset clause, so I think we need to have something else where these were pretty much historical, even though they could sell them in the future. I think we need to have some sort of aggregation, like we do with the value general or the rates, and if they've got a meter on already, I think they're already paying something towards our infrastructure.
Yeah.
Another option is that we could, if there are more than, say, 2 contiguous lots or 3 contiguous lots, then that's the limit. That anything beyond that is amalgamated into.
Well, that's what I had in my submission. I think it might be too hard then to do it.
Yeah.
It's just whether or not it's feasible to do something.
I think it might be too hard where we just say they can come in and aggregate their blocks together, which they're paying for now with the connection. If it's all connected,
What if they're not connected?
then if they're not connected, then they've got to pay. They're not contributing something. But some of these people have been contributing for 50 years.
I'm just clarifying.
So you're saying that if they are already connected and have other lots that are adjoining?
Yeah, joining. Claire's thinking, oh God.
No, I'm just thinking about, we covered if they have a meter, is there a different circumstance if
If they come in and they've got a meter already connected to one block and they've got 3 this side, 2 that side, they can say, I'm connected already. I think they should be aggregated.
But if they've got,
Yeah,
if they've got 4 blocks around the town.
Yeah.
Different blocks, no.
No.
So they've got to be adjoining.
Yeah,
Adjoining.
And so not broken by a road,
Yes.
or like literally there's a.
Yeah, they're just
No.
right in one
boundary,
lot,
drawing
yeah.
boundary
Yep,
line.
one lot, one parcel.
How does that work in town where somebody's got a block at the front with their house on it, they've got a block at the back?
On a different road, no, they got a
Different road?
different lane.
Yeah,
Let's have a look at it,
yeah,
personally.
yeah.
That's an infill to me.
I'm looking at you two because
Does that make sense?
you guys have got to sort of work out whether or not how easy is this to administer.
I think someone would argue that the boundary lots are adjoining,
What if there's a road?
if they're back to back or side to side.
Yeah, but I think it's they're probably different lots. They are adjoining, yeah, I suppose they are. Or more than 3, maybe. There you go. More than 2.
This is back to.
Yeah, probably, sorry, more than 2. And then which then undercuts what was just saying with that. It's doing these historical ones. They're not doing the ones they've got 1 or, if they've got 2, yeah, they pay. But if they've got on more than 3, sorry, I can't see any glasses. Do you guys connect the
It's connected lots, isn't it?
variation?
Well, the simplest
Not
way
contagious.
the simplest way is
Continuous.
No, contiguous.
the simplest
Contiguous is
Contiguous.
Sorry, yes.
the simplest way would be just to say that there is a limit to the number of contiguous lots that we would be charging. So we would only charge up to 3 lots.
So 4 or more adjoining lots,
4 or more would be amalgamated as another lot.
or we.
Oh, God.
Well, they
I
wouldn't.
think that's getting
No,
done.
that's what I mean. They can derogation continues. So derogation, accepting the so
We only charge the maximum.
What do you mean by unconnected?
We only charge a maximum
Well,
of.
that's the putting that in there, then that can come back to council.
Yeah, I know what Charlie's. I know what they're saying with the 2 blocks. I think it's got to be over 3 for over 3 blocks. As John said, if you got a house block where say it runs on, Gaskell Street compared to Cudale Street, and they back onto each other, that's 2 blocks. This one might have a house, this one hasn't. So this is the one they want. Yes, we will. But if they've got more than 3,
More than 3.
So is that, sorry, I might ask through Mr Chair just to comment from the staff in this space. Is it possible that we could adopt a maximum charge per owner for adjoining lots? And like rather than say 3 lots, we say we'll charge a maximum of $500. No.
Sorry, charge out.
because it goes through the availability on the bill.
Then you, every year would have to revisit the policy to increase the fee to be aligned with the base charge of being 50% of the residential connection. So I think there has to be a factor.
Yeah, factor rather than an amount. So a factor of 3.
Up to a maximum factor of 3 of the standard residential.
Yes.
So what are you doing for the 3? You're charging all that?
I'm confused. Are we? So
confused
a person has 5 blocks.
We're in
I'm
charge.
trying to clarify.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
5 blocks. They have 1 connection, so they have 4 unconnected blocks.
Yeah. So they've got
We are charging them
for 3.
for 3 blocks, including the one that's already connected. So it's
I think it
1
should be 2 extra.
connected.
Yeah, 2.
I'm not saying. I'm just
No,
trying to.
yeah, 2
Try
extra.
to work it out, yeah.
2 extra.
Yeah.
So they charge. There's charge $88 currently for the 1 connected property.
Yeah.
And they charge $88 effectively for 2 times 44.
Correct.
But not for all of them. If say they've
No,
only got
just-
10 blocks,
When
they've
we
only.
talk about minimums, maximums,
Yeah.
sometimes you just need a concrete.
No.
You do. Well, it was getting
Yes,
confusing.
yeah.
But if there
Nice.
is, if there are adjoining lots with no current connection, each lot attracts the charge. So there's no
So
aggregation.
if it's 5 and there's no connection,
Yep.
they pay for 5.
5, correct.
What?
Yeah,
What's happened now?
If there's,
No, because they're not, they've been contributing.
if there's 5 blocks and they don't have a connection,
Oh,
They
no
pay
one's
for 5
right.
blocks.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, no one's
So
connected.
if
Right.
it's
So someone like a
one-
developer said,
one-
yeah, right. Gotcha.
that'd nearly be.
Okay, so do you want under continuous unconnected lots, under identical ownership, if already adjoining, do you need a minimum?
Accepting the availability cost of these lots will be relocated to the Board of Consumer Base.
we
Yeah.
need quite a bit of work in this.
Yeah, so can you just grab the keyboard, maybe do a draft, and then we can look at.
Excuse me, my wife just duck out to the. Yes.
So pretty much we've got past this one.
What time is it anyway?
Yeah, we're going to move on.
1 o'clock.
Oh, no wonder I'm hungry.
Just remembering that we are still live streaming.
Yes, that's very
For the
real.
5 people.
We are real human beings.
To go back to first principles, does this need to refer to 531B, or is that just opening up a different set of parameters that are not relevant?
I think we can incorporate under 558, which is the discretionary component.
Yeah.
558?
558 allows discretionary exemption structures.
Exemptions, section 5. Yeah, that's exemptions 558, isn't it?
Common between those two?
Unconnected lots.
It's kind of like that way in root base.
So we're talking about unconnected lots as in minimum, is that we're putting the maximum?
Well, you see, they don't have a maximum, because you would have
No,
8.
that's right, we're about minimum.
But that's what we said, we said we wanted for two extra, or
It's more, we're not approaching, when rather than approaching it as aggregation, we're approaching it as a maximum charge. So I feel this went kind of that way, but we actually need to go that way.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Because this is backing us into a corner of aggregation, a maximum number of aggregations, but we're not actually setting maximum number of aggregations, we're setting maximum number of applicable charges.
Yeah, thanks.
This I might add is the grandfathering clause, because this doesn't, we should make it clear that this doesn't affect any new subdivisions.
No.
Or if someone subdivides their lot into,
Which we would typically try to get captured through the development application
process, yes. So, just got to make that clear, that there's no sort of get around there for any new subdivision, yeah. Amazing what your mind thinks of when you're going to the past.
Because that's the people that, you know, a developer will come, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, that's two where one's already connected.
This is also not my keyboard.
Dealing with
They all the same. Yes. Don't lose it. Already. Yep.
Just up there, John. Sorry, John, I could.
I'm trying to avoid saying the word parcel, because it is.
No, that's good. I reckon that's lots, lot.
But it's not a lot.
Well, yeah, I don't parcel,
land.
It's
Tenement.
not.
no.
Could we refer to an aggregation?
yeah.
Why is it
Connected
parcel?
development chances
Because
to
the parcel has a strict legal definition.
Yeah.
Or we could refer to aggregated for rating purposes and bring that in, and that gives us a definition.
To the land, the land that is aggregated for rating purposes. That's enough? To the
Or
land.
for value or general purposes. I think we need to bring in somebody else's definition
Yeah.
to give the
And then actually-
structure.
Yeah.
So we're saying you have 5 parcels amalgamated for the value or general,
Yeah.
and we're applying it to that amalgamation.
probably not.
The value, sorry, Mr. Chair, can I get clarification? When the value general aggregates on the valuation, the land has each parcel. Is that right? So what we can do is to say to the customer, please provide your value or general
Or rate notice.
or race notice on the aggregation outlining each lot, so that we can get
Or your
confirmation
rates
of it.
notice. Yeah.
Is that what we're saying?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
So in effect, what we're saying there is we're charging
Two extra for.
So we're charging, so basically we're saying for any amalgamated lot. It's currently got one added,
We get two more.
we just need 2 more, well, that says just 2, it's only 1 more.
No, two more.
2
Because they're already paying one.
Already paid one.
One's paying the connected and the two.
Okay, so where there's 2, so this is only for those ones that are already connected. Now, what about the ones where there is no connection?
They're paying.
They're paying.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're receiving a 50% discount.
And yeah, well, everyone's receiving a 50% discount. Because Do we want to run,
Want some more
the
water?
end of this, once we've got through it all, we'll have a break for lunch.
Don't get more from that at all.
I think it's quite a number of things we've got to get through the second half, so.
So he has to go up to.
Oh, here we go. Up past 2:45.
Oh, we should be done by then. We'll only have we'll have a 20
No, no. I wasn't home by 3:20, or 3:15. It's only 45 minutes from here, so I've asked to
Yep, I need to go with the charges to.
speed.
Don't you dare.
No, I'm only kidding.
Where an additional lot is already connected. Take out that lot.
I do have to go back to my young.
And, because you've already got lot in there, and that is part of a single valuation for the value agenda.
Yeah, that looks good.
Those, because we're referring to the
And
group.
those lots are part of a single valuation for the value agenda.
Yep.
Agree with that?
Looks good to me.
And that for the rest, so
Can we
if
take
there's,
out the
Charles,
first?
And so we take out the first one.
so if there is a large block which is broken up into small lots and there is no connection at all to that lot, every single one is going to be charged, okay? For someone who's already connected, and their block of land contains many lots, we'll only charge them for two more.
Yeah.
Two more.
Two more.
So we're capping the unconnected availability charge, not availability charges in general. We're capping the unconnected
yes,
charge,
Unconnected
Correct.
charge.
To two?
Cap the unconnected to
Yep.
two.
and then they are paid their connected
Yes,
charge.
correct.
Yes.
So
Correct.
they effectively pay three.
Yes, correct.
Well, it's actually,
Three.
well, they're paying the full connected charge
Yes.
And then two
and
others.
then the two halves.
So can we just make, charges to two?
Yeah, that's-
We just want to highlight that it's two additional unconnected lots to the connected, addition to the connected lot.
Yes, yeah, good point.
Two unconnected charges. And what it also might do is that those ones that those ones out there that have more than one, or already have unconnected, they put one on and apply for that.
fees.
So we're already getting another customer
And that's fees, so it's
paying the full amount and then getting the two off that.
in the future.
It might encourage people to
We should
actually
be
put
out
those lots
Ownership
together.
and where an additional,
Generally,
that is already connected, and those lots are part of a single valuation from the, yeah.
Shouldn't this be all?
And all lots are part of a single valuation.
Yeah.
Right.
cool.
Having-
Thank you.
Can you just delete the first one?
Okay, so we have another quick read through that element 5, this is because just to be absolutely clear in our heads, particularly the staff, just so that
Can you
you.
please play devil's advocate with this and find the loophole in it?
Yeah, we need to find the loopholes, potential loopholes, and then we're happy with those, and then we'll go back, as part of the process, go back to the original 3 and make the amendments.
Sorry.
I think I've spelled availability wrong.
Yeah, no,
So cap unconnected availability charges to 2 additional fees where those lots are contiguous and under identical ownership, and where an additional lot is already connected. And where an additional lot is already connected?
It's at the third lot. We're talking about the third lot.
it's already connected.
And all lots are part of a single valuation from the valuer general. And this is, again, presumably on review.
Yeah.
Because we wouldn't necessarily know, we wouldn't necessarily get that data, the valuer general data, so it has to be on review.
It's on their rate notice, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's up to them to tell us.
Come in.
Yeah.
Come in and claim it.
Yeah.
They have to bring it
This
in.
is part of their review anyway. This is, it doesn't have to say upon review. Like this is what's happening when we're reviewing it.
Okay,
Come and see us.
all right.
You're coming to see us and say, I'm not happy with this.
Someone rings us.
Yeah. So
Someone sees
we
staff,
go,
take
okay.
that.
Element
Take your own
5
notice.
says,
Because the default is that you put out a thing with every lot.
Yeah.
And then they come back with a review, and then you go and then look at this and go, well, okay, now that you've told me about this is what.
We can look at this element.
Yeah. That's how it would operationally
Turn
work.
that frown upside down, Charlie, you're
Oh,
sitting
happy
there.
days, mate.
When every other water utility in the state just says,
That's okay.
section 552 of the Act is,
We've always been different.
We are
We're
different.
good.
We've got to be different.
all of this, we're turning ourselves inside out to maintain our standing in the community. So I get that. I absolutely get that. That we have a good
But as well as that.
we have a good standing. We're trying to make this is something that we should have been charging 33 years ago, and we haven't, and now we are doing so. I mean, there's a reason
Wouldn't have got the
why.
money
We
33 years
need.
ago.
We've got ageing infrastructure. We need to. We're dependent upon whatever charges that we're allowed to go for to be able to deal with the ageing infrastructure. Okay.
The future.
So.
Clarification, if I may.
Sorry.
Clarification, Councillor Nash earlier asked she would like to see when this would be effective.
It's already effective, isn't it?
The policy as stands is effective. This policy will need to go on exhibition for 28 days before it can be effective.
Because there are substantial changes, it does need to go back out.
That's okay.
So we have a round of bills issued. We will have another round of bills issued, effective date 1st of July, which will be before the 28 days of exhibition. So I just want us to be quite clear on when these exemptions come into place. They are not currently in place.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, you might want to then add that the amended policy be sent for 28 days.
Yes, that's what I was going to do. Yeah.
So,
So
number 3,
so
so there'll be an amendment.
and there'll be an amendment. So there'll be amendment to there.
Is that the policy, revised policy CTW PR 052, you can just copy that. Good. Yep, down to 1.2, yep, take that down. Be placed on public exhibition for a period not less than 28 days.
So as it stands now, anybody, they're going to have to pay for the whole lot until this is revised and put out. And
Yeah.
they can't go back and say, oh,
Public exhibition for a period of not less than 28 days. Exhibition period for, together the. For a period of not less than 28 days. Days and returned of not less than, and returned to the August Council meeting for adoption.
For adoption. Yeah.
And those changes we just made are in that
Yes.
other stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not part of your resolution, they're the elements for us to take away.
Yep, cool.
Yeah. So just leave the amendments there for now, we'll work on that later. Okay, so don't worry about those, go back up to the resolution. Okay, so sorry, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
One is you're receiving a noting.
Yeah.
You affirmed the legislative basis for levying. And number 3 is, go down, no, the revised is placed on public exhibition for a period not less than 28 days and returned to council. August council meeting for adoption.
Yeah.
Do we need a first and seconder for the amendment? The next
Yes.
one? For both of them?
Yes.
For
For number 3?
For number 3, do.
Yes.
Yeah, we need to, for that amendment.
Yeah.
So, I'll need to have a mover for that amendment. So that's Councillor Hallett, seconder, Councillor Goswich. Okay, I will put that amendment. You have a comment?
Don't worry about it.
Mr. Chairman, can I just say thank you, councillors. This has been a rocky road for the councillors receiving the calls. I appreciate that, for staff who have been taking calls. And I really thank you for working this through, because I think you've enabled us to create a policy that can be implemented that provides equity and some fairness. So thank you, and I really appreciate the discussions today.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing us
There'll be more phone calls, don't worry. With the vote, sorry.
So we have a mover and a seconder for the amendment, which is to adopt, okay? Which is the amendment there of number 3. Okay, I put that. All in favour?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that comes the motion.
Yeah.
So we can remove the previous 3.
Previous, no, can't.
It's not there, see?
It will stay there, but yes. We'll
Okay.
fix that.
Okay, you'll fix that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Those
You can
elements.
just vote on it.
We have all of those elements there which we don't, do we need to vote on those? Or
No,
we've
the elements, we will take
you will
those off the
interpret,
minutes
we'll
and
put those into the policy, okay? I think we're pretty happy with all of those, yeah, okay. So we go back to the initial motion, bring right back,
No, now you've got 1, 2 and 3. So just put it up.
1, 2 and 3,
So 1 and 2 are the same. And then
yeah, and third,
you're
so,
at the third one.
okay, so we've got the third, so go back to the original people who moved and
National Pilot.
Nash and Parlett, are you happy with?
Happy with that?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll put that. All 3 of them.
Aye.
All in favour?
Oh,
Carried. Thank you, everybody. Okay. Let's have a break. And look, it's 1:15 now. Can we make it 15 minutes? Is that all right? Yeah. discussion later, but no, the answer to your question is no.
Audio is on.
What did Paul do for?
But not to do that.
Because he does hold a grudge,
Is that
like you said.
Here's live.
responding rude? Not very friendly.
Okay, we are on board.
Yes.
Thank you for that. So, to those watching on or listening in, we've returned from a brief break. We're on to item 11.10, which is an adjustment to the August council meeting dates. The recommendation here is the council resolved to move its August 2026 meeting to 1 week later, which is Wednesday, the 26th of August. Do I have a mover? Councillor Goswich and seconded by Councillor Nash. Can I say I was particularly pleased to see this because I was going to ask for this because I'm actually going to be away the previous week. So this actually is a good thing for me personally. But anyway, any discussions or issues?
Not a great thing for the Blaney councils because we had a council meeting on the Tuesday night before, as we did last night.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of room for a few days when we get the thing, but it's fine. No worries.
The other thing, through the chair, can we make it a little bit later? I have a Orange 360 meeting that morning. So this one.
Well, later in the day.
No, can we make it say 10:30 start? I know it's 10:30 start now, isn't it?
It is a 10:30 start now.
So can we make it 11? Does that affect anyone?
Is it in Blaney?
It's in Blaney.
It's in the lane.
Actually, I may be away, my daughter's got surgeries, but depending on how long that is, I'll either come or I'll Zoom in.
Because you can zoom in under our new old rules.
That's why I was thinking when I,
Yes, and
yeah,
new old rules. Yeah.
Does it-
but I can do
Yeah,
that.
it's 11 o'clock. Does that affect
That would
anyone?
suit me probably better too.
At 11 o'clock. I have no objection to 11 o'clock myself, but
Does that affect you?
all right. Okay. So quick amendment to that is that we start at 11.
So we'll just amend the resolution reading to Wednesday 26 at 11.
At 11 a.m. Starting at 11 a.m. Which means a public forum, if there's a public forum, is 10:30.
10:30. I could get back, it's just a minute.
You do notice that our public forums, all the invites have been.
Okay. If everyone's happy, I'll put that. All in favour?
Aye.
That's carried. Thank you. Item 11.11, integrated planning reporting documents. Okay, recommendation in accordance with sections 402 to 406 of the Local Government Act and clause 219 of the Local Government General Regulations, the following statutory period of 28 days of public exhibition, staff review, council adopt the following documents: the business activity strategic plan, delivery program and operational plan, long-term financial plan, annual budget and statement of revenue policy, and the workforce management strategy. Do I have a mover? Councillor Goswich, seconded by Councillor Newstead. Wow. So this is, who would like to speak to this? Yes, register.
Okay, through you, Mr. Chair, the documents went on public exhibition, and as per the report, we received one submission, which staff have considered. There were also minor changes to the revised the budget and revenue statement. We removed one line from the revised revenue statement from the fees and charges, and I've just lost my spot, sorry. The 26-27 fees and charges had a non-potable water charge, which has not been used. So this has been removed from, and you were provided a copy in attachment 3. And in accordance with the section 356 financial assistance, we are still receiving applications for these funding. However, we will allocate within the budget set in the operational plan, and the determination will be brought back to the August council or council to determine those 356 financial assistance offers. The the submission that we received, there were no relevant changes to the IPNR documents. I don't know, I'm happy to take questions.
No questions. I just remembered that, of course, we had this discussion yesterday about the making of fees and charges. So that in fact there is an amendment to this. We have. And there it is.
Actually made the amendment to the resolution.
Okay, so there it is.
Okay, well,
So in fact, there is a slight amendment there, and that is those items in red. But the particular one is that not only that we adopt the following documents, but we also make its fees and charges for next year. So there is a so Councillor Goswitch and Councillor Newstead, are you happy with that minor change? No, something we were discussing yesterday afternoon, and that in fact under law we are required to make fees and charges, just in the same way as making rates. Yeah. So it's quite a specific wording that has to be there.
Mr. Chairman, not with that submission, it was really hard to determine. There were some comments made in that you couldn't actually, weren't quite sure what the evidence was that was being referred to in some of those comments. But what I would like to say, Mr. Chairman, in terms of the water charges, there's some comments made about the increases. And there are some publicly available documentation on the local water utilities performance review. So I thought I'd do a bit of a research on that and provide councillors with a bit of feedback. In that portal, they assess what it costs for each utility to provide 200 kilolitres of water. So adopt a typical residential bill and what that cost might be for to provide that 200 kilolitres. And I'll just give you some numbers here. So back in 2021 financial year, it was costing our customers about $900 to provide 200 kilolitres. In 22 financial year, it went up to $948, which is a 5.3% increase. In year 23 financial year, it went up to 987, 4.1%. In the year 24, it went up to 1,084, which was 9.8%. In the year 25, it went up to 1,176, which was 8.5%. And next year, it will go up to $1,290, which is a 9.7% increase. So whilst I acknowledge that the submission has made some notes on the increase, the overall increase on the typical residential bill, as I've described there, doesn't reflect what has been identified when you apply the aggregate of the availability charge and the consumption charge. I think, Mr. Chairman, our fees and charges are made to reflect the operational costs of the business, and that we try to live within our means. And I think we run a very efficient and effective organisation for the work and the obligation we have and the critical nature of the public water sector. I'm happy to say that I think our operational process, how we do business, and the fees and charges are appropriate.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Are there any further comments or questions about all of our financial documents? I think at some stage, also we could put the fees and charges at some stage, based on what we were talking about earlier on today. We'll have to review the charges we have for standpipes and for the automated filling stations. So just to, I'm happy with them to remain as they are as per this, but at some stage in the future we'll have to address those costs to bring them into line. So we then align with our other policies about not cross-subsidising, so we get into a good financial position. So if there are no questions or comments, then I'll put that. All in favour?
Aye.
That's carried. And thank you very much to the staff, all of you who have been working on that huge suite of financial and operational planning. Thank you so much.
It is a team effort.
Yeah, no, it's a huge job every year to put together all of that information. So we're very appreciative. Okay, moving to, excuse me while I bring it up again. Look at there. Okay, 11/12, I believe, is that right? Delivery Program 6-month progress report. Recommendation there is the council note the final 6-month progress report of the 2022 to 2026 delivery program, covering the period first 6 months of this year, January to June 2026. And I'm the mover. Councillor Goswich, seconded by Councillor Nash. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is the progress review of the last 6 months of the 22 to 26 delivery program. I've noted in there, put a bit of a table that shows, has outlines, what's progressing, what commenced, what was completed and what not due. But just wanted to highlight that although staff completed a total of the 25, of the ones that are well underway, some of those will never be completed. They are ongoing. So, the completed is much higher than what it looks on the graph. So I just thought I would point that out, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Any questions? Pretty good. Everyone's happy? Good. All good? Okay, I'll put that. All in favour? Aye. Carried. Thank you. That's quick. Item 11/13, Audit Risk and Improvement Committee. The recommendation that Council note the ARIC's minutes for the meeting held on 6th of May and adopt the draft internal audit charter endorsed by the ARIC. I have a mover, please. Councillor Goswich, and I was there. You were there? So you can, and Councillor Nash, second.
Go again. John, please hand down.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I provide the minutes for council's noting and take them as read. The second recommendation is to adopt the draft internal audit charter. This was amended by the chair of the ARIC to align with the global audit standards. So it was presented to the committee and I personally wasn't there, but I believe it was accepted in accordance with the minutes, and I'll present it to you for adoption, please.
Okay, any questions, any comments? Okay, I'll put that. All in favour? Aye. That's great. Item 11/14, Corporate Services Update. Recommendation that Council note the information provided within the Corporate Services Update. The mover, Councillor Paulette and Councillor Newstead. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I present this report and I will take it as read. I'm happy to answer any questions. Just noting the Staff Wellbeing Day was a success on the 20th of May, and there's a couple of photos there just of the whole team, as well as some fun activities that were undertaken in the afternoon to join the team for the building session.
I'm trying to work out where that is. Is it Duntry League?
It was at the Duntry League.
The Duntry League, so that's the entrance to Duntry, yeah.
Happy looking bunch.
Yes, they all look very happy. No, that's great.
Through you, Mr. Chair, how did the interviews go?
I assume you're talking about the emails?
Yep.
Yes, interviews were conducted on the 10th and we shortlisted them down to 2 candidates. We did referee checks on both candidates and some profiling. We had a discussion yesterday and there are 2 candidates which we are considering.
Okay, cool. Excellent.
Okay. Anything further?
Through the chair, just the social media campaign seemed like it was very successful.
Yes, it was successful actually, to the point that we'll consider doing that every 6 months. A couple of people up there and just get them reminder to the community about, you know, that we are the face of CTW Water and that the staff do enjoy what they do.
Fantastic. That's really good. That's good. Well, is there something further? Okay, I'll put that. All in favour? Aye. Carried. Okay, we're up to questions on notice. No questions on
No
notice?
question on that.
No questions on notice? Item 13. Yeah, if I read back to the beginning. Confidential matters. Okay, unless we push this one into confidential. Item 14 is late reports. We have a late report. This is request to waiver section 64 contributions. Can I suggest that we put this into confidential? Should this be not be confidential? No,
I don't think so.
don't think so.
Through you, Mr Chair, I did not place this in confidential because all of the submission documents are on public, they're available publicly.
Yep.
But I'm happy to move it to confidential if you would like to have an in-depth discussion.
This was just it was a specific request from a group, whether or not it's reasonable to have that in on the public record, that's all.
Okay.
I'm happy for it not to be confidential, so it's up to everyone else. It's already gone onto the public record already.
It's not on the public record actually because it only came in late yesterday and I haven't had time to put it up on our website yet.
Okay.
So,
well, the first thing I should do is determine whether or not we accept the late report. So can I have a mover to accept the late report? Councillor Newstead and Councillor Parlett. All in favour? Aye. Okay, thank you. It's carried. So we will accept this late report.
Mr Chairman, if you, there might be a reason to adopt section 10A, which will allow you to go into a closed meeting in that there is some information in there that is of commercial in nature. In that report that's been provided to councillors. So if you'd like to discuss this in a closed session, you could do that under section 10A.
Well, I'd like to propose that.
I think we should. Yep.
So if I propose it, you don't have to second it. So I'm proposing that we push this into confidential closed session using, was it provision
10A.
10A? You got that? Yeah. Because there is. So I'll put that we go into closed session. All in favour? Aye. Carried. Now we can go into closed session. Oh, just have to wait and see when it comes up.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
What do we say?
Yes, we're up.
Yes.
Okay, so we're now back out of closed session. And we will have to move that what was resolved in closed session.
You need to read it because I can't see it.
Yes, I will read it. And what was resolved was that this was a request or waiver of Section 64 water contribution, that one, council does not have a policy framework or adopted DSP provision that enables the discretionary waiver or reduction of Section 64 charges on a case-by-case basis. And that, secondly, that CTW will only charge actual cost for the installation of the service connection for the lot 150/DP 750182, with a maximum set at the quoted amount. And I think, is that, we do have to move that one? We do have to move or not? No, I think that's all right. So we've already moved. Okay, thank you. So that resolves that one. Item 14, conclusion of the meeting. Are there any other comments, questions? Nothing? Okay, well, I'll conclude the meeting. It's 2:13. 2:13 p.m. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good to see you. Thank you both.
Yeah, money's right.